Our session this evening is the third, a series of 3. We've looked at the beginners Canva, intermediate Canva, and now we're looking at the more advanced tools. Hannah is going to guide us through our evening. All of this is being recorded, so you can look back on this at your own leisure. And I think that's always good and helpful, because if it's anything like me, somebody's moved on to the next section before you're still remembering what it was that you wanted to look at that particular point, and they've moved on. So it's always good to just be able to do that. But Hannah, I'm going to hand over to you to guide us through our evening. If you want to keep your phones, your videos switched off, by all means do that. But if there's any questions and things, Hannah, I'm sure we'll guide you through the kind of protocol for questions and things, but put anything into the chat and we can always have a little conversation about that. So Hannah, it looks like some folks may not have been here before, so it'd be good if you could just say hello and who are you and why you're here, and then over to you.
Super, super. Excellent. Well, can you all see that okay?
We can. At least I can.
That's all right. I'm going to move that over, otherwise I can't see. Super. Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening for the Advanced Canva session. Thank you to those of you who have been here for my other 2 sessions. Hopefully this one will be as helpful. I hope they've all been helpful. But also I hope this isn't too overwhelming, because the advanced stuff, and we will be touching on AI, will be can be a little intimidating to begin with, but it's all going to be good fun. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Hannah. I live on the south coast of Dorset. I have a husband and dog, a little rescue Frenchie, who actually for once is not upstairs with me. Normally he's sat by my feet and you can hear him snoring, but he's actually downstairs. I'm a digital missioner and comms consultant, so I help churches, charities and organisations use social media and digital tools to just help share their mission and, utilise the tools that are available to us. I am also doing an MA in digital theology at Spurgeon's College. So I was just telling Fiona about that. And as I'm coming up to finishing, working midway through my dissertation, but looking at how we can sort of go forward with digital and actually use it sort of in a biblical and honouring way to God, but also utilising it for evangelism and mission. I have a podcast called Gourds and Pomegranates about church comms, so please do go and check that out. We're just starting planning for our 6th series, and we've got like 50 plus episodes out there, so lots of things to help you. Alongside clearly being very passionate about digital, I do enjoy getting away from a screen. I enjoy sea swimming, walks and gardening. If you'd like to connect with me, you can find me on most platforms under the Hannah FH, or for my work stuff, FH Digital. And if you'd like to connect with me as well, my website is there, but I will put my details in the chat afterwards. So today, we will be looking at navigating around Canva with even more confidence and utilising the latest features across the system. And in particular, utilising a lot of the AI features that came out from the latter half of last year that really help to make things quicker, but also it's just fun. I find it just really good fun to experiment and play around with the sort of features that we have in Canva. And then I will make sure that we have plenty of time for Q&A, because I think actually at this stage there will be some specific questions. So it'd be really helpful for me to know what they are if you have them. But please do ask stuff in the chat. We will try, I think we've had in previous sessions where other people have answered if they've known it, but also then we've gone through them at the end. And I will make sure as well that we have some takeaway resources once we've finished. So that's that one. I'm going to just close that one down for a second. So Canva, I'm not going to go about navigating what this should look like for you, because if you're at this stage, you probably know where most of the stuff is. With this home screen, I'm just going to move it over slightly so I'm not looking too far off. But I will just say, because as I was going through my notes from a previous advanced session I've done, I've realised that there have been some updates and there are not some things that I thought were in the place they were. So if for some reason you come into Canva and you go, I can't find the thing that was there before. So the Magic Studio used to be on the side here, and it's not here at the minute. Canva does do updates and stuff. So if you suddenly can't find something, don't panic. Either I tend to search for it on Google and find it through there, or just to have a play around and find things. So if your home screen does change from time to time, don't panic. It normally is just updates. It's not that anything's gone wrong with your account. So I think to begin with, I found it really helpful of thinking about optimizing workflow and sort of thinking about things to time save in both your your usage, your individual usage, but also if you have a team. And I know that there was a comment, Rachel was just saying, excited to invite the team in Canva, but ended up in a rabbit warren and no one joined. So it does help to have, if you've got a team of people within your church. So if you're the minister and you've got a youth minister, or you've got a secretary, administrator, or you've got some other people who get involved with various things within the church where it would be helpful for them to access it, that can make it very it can make it a lot easier, rather than everything being on one system, one computer, it being on Photoshop, being on the office computer, and only one person can access it and stuff. The amazing thing about Canva is that it is in cloud-based, so obviously that you can access it from either a tablet, your phone, your computer, and across multiple accounts. So sorry, I've moved and then I've not actually said what I was doing. So if we go up to the settings, so on the top right hand, and then in settings just there, you have obviously the back end and the administrative part of Canva and your account. You can create a team where you can invite up to 5 people with a pro account. So if in this case, it was, I'm going to use my hypothetical church that I use for all of my training, Lighthouse Road Baptist Church. So if it was Hannah at LRBC was the registered account, I could then invite 5 other people. So that could be admin at LRBC, youth at LRBC, whatever the names. But you can add them to the team, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. But in a church context, for me, I'm doing this as my business and it's just me. But in a church context, I would recommend the main account holder to be a standard email address. So info or minister or something, I'll just say generic, that it makes that other people can access the email account. Because especially if you end up putting all of your design work within Canva, if something happens and you can't get into that account because Bob at LRBC, that account, he leaves or something and the account gets closed, it can be just quite helpful to have it as a standard account. But then you can add in people, and it literally would be this would come out and you'd have the team owner, and then you could invite people, and they could have, it doesn't have to be just within LRBC or FH Digital or whatever your church email address is. They can be different email accounts, and they don't then need to have a Canva account like the pro account, because they get invited in under this account, if that makes sense. But it can be very helpful then of having so minister at Lighthouse Road Baptist Church sort of owns the Canva, and then you have the youth coming in and they can manage some design projects, or you've got admin who come in and manage some design projects. So it really helps with collaborative working, and rather than needing to send lots of different links to different projects, and you sort of never know which has been the latest poster to be done. This is really helpful in just making that easier. But obviously make sure that the people that you're inviting know how to use Canva, and don't sort of just invite them and then leave them stranded and not know where to go. So that's just sort of one thing I think can be is really underestimated in sort of allowing multiple people to access it, and therefore actually helping to just, you don't need to send stuff. You can say you can find it in Canva. Then one of the other things that is really helpful, I think I would have touched on this in the last session, but is really utilizing the brand kit. So that's just going brand, and then I have a couple of different ones. And then if you needed to make one, you just go add new, and then you just create a new brand kit. But you can add in then logos, icons, you can have specific colors, fonts, and you can sort of group the colors, and again, fonts for different purposes. And this is really helpful if you've already sort of thought about on yours, if you've already worked with say a design company, or someone has already spent time and effort, and it really is, and I think it is really, it's a really undervalued thing within churches, because brand always sounds a really like icky corporate thing, but I think it is really important of thinking about how we honor God. For me, it is about good design is a way of honoring God, but also about how we distinguish ourselves from other churches, not in a one-upmanship or something, but of just going, hey, this is us, we are different, or actually this is how you recognize us. If you see something that says church in your town, and you sort of blur it into the 5 different churches that make up your local church community. So being able to have specific colors and logos are really important in helping people to recognize that. I think as well, I'd have mentioned coolers in one of the previous sessions. So if you've already got your colors decided, I'm seeing nods of heads, yes. And I again would recommend going and checking that out, of helping to decide colors. So if I've got my set colors established from that sort of design project, you can then just input them there, and they come up with both the code and the color. And I don't have to then go digging through that email from the minister saying, this is the design logo, or I've somehow accidentally deleted the file. It's already in here. I don't need to copy and paste. They're set to go. But then also, if actually I want to think about having some specific colors for specific ministries within the church. So if we have a youth group, when actually they're very active, and they want their own sort of colors for, hoodies or something that they want to do for something. And so actually we can have those set colors developed so that they align with our main colors, but actually they are slightly distinguished. But again, it's labeled in there, so I know where to find them. And again, fonts, I think it's valuable to have fonts, and it's not that you need sort of many different font options, but to have a go-to. What's our title? What's our subtitle or header? What's our body? What is our quote font? So that if you are designing a website or some standardized flyers that are again about talking about who you are as the church, actually that you've got those fonts that allow you to, you don't have to go thinking about, what should we use, or we have to pick a different one each time, and then everything sort of looks a little bit messy because everything's a slightly different style. Obviously, for every church poster, it doesn't have to be the exact same, but it is helpful to have kind of some go-to fonts that you feel represent the tone and brand of your church. So again, you can fill out in as many as you want, and you can sort of title them differently. So on there, I have specifically titled that LRBC title font, and you can change it, and it changes its allocation and size. So you can really play around with those different aspects. Pardon me. One of the exciting things has come up since with the AI additions over the last 6 months has been brand voice. Now, this is helpful to have anyway, and I'd recommend doing this through social media strategies. And again, they don't need to take a lot of time, but of really actually going, well, who are we? What is the type of language that we use? And so for LRBC, we are a small church on the English coast. We're friendly, community-focused, informal, but passionate about God, community creation, and sharing the love of Jesus to everyone. I'm pretty sure most churches would say that as well, but I was keeping it fairly simple and sort of generic. But that was sort of, that's us as a church. And what you can do then is, all you need to do is just add it in. But as it says here, and this is the great thing about Canva, it actually explains sort of why this is important and helpful and what you can put in. So one of the things that they specifically said is about friendly and informal or casual, I think it said. And so actually making sure to put those kind of key descriptors in So if you are a bit more of a high church or international or whatever sort of describes you, it's really important to put it in there. But if you press try your brand voice in a design, it'll bring up a document. That's the wrong one. That's my one. So there we go. Select brand kit. And there we go, brand voice. So it'll come up on the side here, on the left-hand side here. That's the same text I had. Generate in this brand voice, and it says what do you want to do. So what I'm going to do is generate a welcome document, and I can't spell, for new members to our church. And you tell Canva what you want it to write. Click generate, and it starts typing a load of stuff. Now it's the same with all of the AI. Oh, it's done it differently from what I've done last time. Oh, that's exciting. What I would say with anything of AI, whether you are using the stuff within Canva or ChatGPT or I can't think of any of the other ones because I use ChatGPT most of the time. But whatever you're using, it is a great starting place. It is not the click, generate and print. It is a starting place because I find, and this is again the great thing with Canva, is I find it helpful to have something to work from. A blank sheet can be quite scary and I can't think of anything then. Whereas I find it easier to improve or rewrite stuff that's already written. So it's put in a load of stuff and I'm just going to insert it. And there you go. It has put in, welcome to our church community. We're delighted to have you to our church family. In the kind of vibe that my initial description in the brand voice said. So it's really helpful. And again, okay, so it says here, it's automatically assumed we offer a service every Sunday at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. My hypothetical church doesn't do that. We meet at 10:30. So it does need correcting, and it's not something to just, and again, the contact details are wrong. And I would probably actually put in, welcome to Lighthouse Road Baptist Church and whatever. And I would change this top as well, this header image, but it is a great starting point. And, that's taken me 2 minutes to generate. And it would take a bit of time to correct, but it is. I just think it's a great starting point, and you can use this then as a guide to go on your website or to go in flyers, handout. If you've got new members and you give them like a kind of new members kit or kit pack or something that has kind of things that happen at the church or things that you need to know, it can be really helpful. And then, okay, I'm going to come to the other bit in a minute. Because there are some other cool things that you can do with these. So just going back to brand, and again, you can put in images, and apparently now there's this again, this is an update for me. You can generate images on brand images on demand. So it takes the images that you've got already, but I haven't experimented with that because I literally just found it in preparation for tonight. So again, they are always updating stuff. So it is pretty cool. So that's brand kit. And again, that's really helpful then of if someone's coming in and going to design something, that they know what the colors are and they know what the font is, which then takes us to, if I go to LRBC, takes to the folders. And again, folders, very helpful. If you are managing, I think any church probably it would be chaotic and thinking about all the different options of design things that you could be doing, from sermon graphics to welcome documents to thinking about Christmas things. Even just like one season has so many different types of assets that you'll need, of just general Sunday service, social media graphics and things. And we've got loads of stuff, and it would be easy to just let it all be in the home screen and just have to scroll and find it when in October time next year you want to start thinking about Christmas 25 and you're going, oh, we had some really cool, I really liked how we designed it last year. Where do I find it? Having these project sections and then having the folders really helps you to catalog and then find actually the things that you need. So if I just go back here, here, I don't know if you can see it that well. It says a day of family harvest fun. What I can do is either click and drag it so that it goes to LRBC. And then it does say should do, it'll then have a little highlighted button underneath. Well, it's not that it's a button. Oh no, it is a button. Oh, I didn't know that. It has a little highlighted button underneath just saying, well, yeah, so now it's appearing there. So it says that it's in our LRBC. So then within LRBC, that folder, we can then have a number of other folders. So Christmas, and again, this is in the general folder. I can then click and drag and then move them into the Christmas folder. And it just makes it so much easier of then finding. It doesn't clutter up this section if I'm, trying to find something specific, because actually I know where that would be. And I think, again, one of the most important things is creating a templates folder that have your templates of things. So whether that's your email signatures, whether that's a standard type of social media graphic that you want to create, if you've got the welcome document, if you've got a poster because you have a banner or a welcome board outside and it's very specific dimensions and it needs to, you say we want to change it maybe twice a year, but we just want it in this style, keep it simple, or, we know we'll update the numbers. Having a templates folder is just really helpful in having that go-to place of finding actually, well, what is the base document that we're using. And one of those in particular would be a service bulletin folder, and I think document even, sorry, and I think I covered this in the last session, but of just designing this and having this as a sort of creating one so that you know what you want in it. And I should really sort of create a finalized version to help visualizing it, but actually then having it, like, it says that it's a template, and actually if I want to make one for an upcoming event, upcoming service, as we start back again, make a copy, it'll open up a new copy, and I will rename that February service handout. I can't spell February either. And then within that, the template, you don't want to, unless you are making adjustments to the whole template as a whole, making sure to have make a copy of something so that I know that any changes I make to this is only as the February handout rather than the whole template, if that makes sense. So yeah, having templates is just really helpful, so that you have a consistency, but also that if any changes you make and you don't like it, that actually it's easy to kind of revert back to previous designs. And yeah, so again, having those preset design dimensions, so again for a poster or sermon social media graphics or sermon templates. So I think I had one, like a sermon graphic or something that we say, actually, this is the dimensions because this is how the projector needs to look. The projector sizes, because sometimes they can be different dimensions. Or actually, this is the style that we want. It's just having those templates can be, just allows for that consistency. And I think just makes it easier for everyone in the long run, rather than everyone needing to create something from scratch. Another thing that is very helpful to learn, and I'm not going to be very helpful in explaining this, on knowing the keyboard shortcuts. So I have a slight problem because I work off a Mac device, but I have a Windows keyboard. So I can neither tell you the Mac nor the Windows shortcuts off the top of my head, because I have learnt my weird ones. So it's not great to know. So I can't exactly explain it, but they are very helpful. So thinking, actually, if you right click, that's what these signs here mean. So for me, I don't have the command button like that. So I have to press like my Windows button, C. Anyway, so but I know them automatically. I know them by muscle memory. I can't actually explain them when I need to do it. But copy, paste or duplicate is just very helpful, or just delete, knowing them by the shortcuts rather than needing to go, oh, I want to copy this, oh, I need to sort of double press and then I want to paste it like that. Just going sort of copy paste, or if you're moving it to a different part, actually we want that here. It's just so much easier having knowing the shortcuts, so that actually, I don't know, you are using your left hand when designing. So I tend to use copy paste like a new page, and yeah, duplicate. So if you're sort of finding actually that you would work a bit quicker if you weren't needing to, click with the mouse all the time, learning keyboard shortcuts can be very helpful. Another thing that can be very useful is, I've got to remember where to find it now. Yes. So it's on up in the share section, and then see all is actually just having an idea as to all the different things that you can do within a document. And actually, so normally you just have it like that. And I most of the time just go download, and that's all I need. But actually it can be very helpful if you're needing to embed it, or you need to create something as a QR code, or you want to present and record. Again, that's really helpful if you're doing training, so either induction training or specific, course training or something. That could be really helpful of not needing to open up Zoom and having to do all of that. You can literally present and record within Canva. It allows you to do that. And again, saving to different sections. So if you have a Google Drive that you share as a church, or Dropbox or OneDrive or something, that actually being able to integrate all of those things can be very helpful. You can schedule within social media, or up to social media within Canva. I would sort of discourage it, because I think it's an easy option, but I do think it takes away from that opportunity to engage with your audiences. So it's useful to know that you can do it, but I kind of would discourage it. And then there's loads of other things you can start printing as well with Canva, which is, I thought, interesting. But one of the useful things is if you're working from a device and you need to share it to or you want to have it on your phone so that you can add something on social media. So actually creating stories for Instagram is kind of not as good doing it on your desktop as it would be doing it on your phone. So you can center phone, and you literally then just need to scan the QR code. It'll open the Canva app up on your phone, so make sure you have it downloaded, and it will take you straight to that project that you're working on, rather than you needing to kind of manually go in and find it and things. But I find it very helpful. So sometimes, for a document like this, it would be really difficult to do it on your phone if I'm having to write things or trying to align the different text sections. So being able to share it, so trouble you have to go this, being able to share it directly to my phone means, I can download it, I can get it, I've done the editing on the computer, and I can just get it on my phone and download it straight away. So it does, or you're sharing it on a WhatsApp group or something, it just sort of helps to just make things, rather than you needing to download it, email it, and then on your phone, download that and stuff. So it just does help with sort of integrating that kind of those systems within your work. And that's all on those bits. I don't say any questions right now. That's cool. Okay. Hopefully, I'm gonna hopefully that all makes sense so far. And I know that's not kind of like the cool things within Canva, but they are very helpful in the long run of just sort of helping to creating good workflows and navigating, especially if you've got multiple teams. And it's also good to talk through this process as you're doing it with people. For me, I just do what I want because it's just me. But I work on numerous clients, on numerous projects and stuff. So I do have to make sure I know where to find things. And I think that's the same for churches, where you've got, someone's really focused on the Christmas things, but someone's really focused on the youth projects. Someone's really focused on the community outreach. In regards for social justice. And so to have sort of different folders, different brand elements, or at least knowing that there will be a brand consistency across all of those projects created, can be very helpful. So we've got our choose an appropriate font. I don't think I really talked about it in one of the previous sessions. That's so very quickly, I would say that would be in development of your social media strategy and your communication strategy, of thinking about who you are as an organization. So again, it's that thinking about that. Who are the people that make up your organization? Who are the people that you're trying to reach? What is it that your church is passionate about? So for me, again, this is all hypothetical, so it's really easy for me to talk about for my church. But Lighthouse Road is, it's a cool seaside church. So for me, I could pick a kind of more informal, fun font. If you were a bit more of a high church, you might want something that looked a bit more like this type of font here. What's that? Canva Sans. But you might want something that sort of echoes that slightly. So it's really, can you have more than one brand in your account? Yes, you can. It's just about then creating, hang on. Yeah, sorry, I'm answering two questions. Font is just about picking something that you feel represents the tone of your voice. So it would make no sense for my church to have I want something super like, let's look up calligraphy. Welcome to my seaside fun church. That font doesn't quite align with it really. So yeah, you can pick by textiles, and so for me textiles were within the brand. So yes, you can have more than one brand kit. That is then just there is then add new. So I've got FH Digital, and then I have a couple of other that's one of my clients that I work with, and then Lighthouse Road was just one I created, and Hallelujah Church was another one I created. So yeah, you can have multiple. I don't know how many in total you can have, but you can have at least 5 here. So yeah, so hopefully that answers that. Martha, give me a message afterwards. Oh, Mel, I'll see if Fiona's commented that, but I can send you some resources on deciding that, but message me afterwards. I can stop looking at the chat, otherwise I get distracted. So we have this document, that's really cool. So going on to one of the funky things with AI is up the top, anything that says magic on Canva is a sort of fun AI feature. But alongside so in a normal document, that's gonna be a poster. Yeah, so in a normal poster, we would have resize, and obviously it will do the resizing, and that's kind of been there for a while for Canva. But what's one of the cool things with Magic Switch is we can translate your design into another language. So this is really helpful if you live in a place where, a part of the country where you have a lot of international groups or a lot of visitors, and there's a big community of different languages within your area and are starting to attend your church. Actually, it can be really helpful, especially if English is not their first language, of having something in their language that just helps them to feel a bit more at ease. You could give them one in English as well. But obviously, sometimes it can be tricky to translate everything. And again, I'm not saying that this is going to be absolutely perfect, but if we translate to German, and it takes a bit of time. And again, I would say check this with someone who does speak another language. But rather than if you have someone who has German and you want them, you say, please translate this 3-page document. That's quite a lot. Whereas if you can say, can you just check through it? Makes it a lot easier, just quicker. And yes, we might need to readjust. I don't know what's happening there. Oh, that's cool. Okay, ignore that for a minute. And it will change it all into German, which is pretty cool. So again, don't be like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense, I'm going to print it off straight away without checking through it. But it is just helpful of seeing what you can do with it. Again, then you could change it into a different style. So that could turn it into and again, I feel like this is slightly unnecessary for a church, but it is helpful to know kind of, I don't think, yeah. Creative blog post. That's probably going to do it in German. I did French for my last okay, so it might need to be in English. I did French for the other one. I was trying to sort of be fun and do it in a different language, but it can be just helpful for just sort of recognizing the different communities that might come into your church. Again, if I go yeah, or you could convert it into a presentation, which can be very helpful, especially for things if it's welcome and you're wanting to do a welcome event or certain types of event stuff. That's, again, it's saving you time. It's got the resources within it to read it, and it's just turning it into a different format. So that's really helpful. I'm gonna shut that one down. So Magic Studio is Magic Design is just that kind of place of literally it will help you to create anything. So I will show you that. So I have just created a standard poster, and I'm going to call it Easter Sermon Promo. And if we go to design at the top, again, the magnifying glass with the stars, I'm going to call it coming off. Is that on there as well? Yeah, so anything with those little stars on it has something to do with Magic Studio. And so the magnifying glass with the stars is sort of saying, well, what would you like to look up? And you can look up things that are within the Magic Studio. So here's one I did earlier. I've had a search already. And it's only created 2. Oh, no, it's done more. They're not going to be great. They're going to be predominantly very American in style, I find. Purely because I think that's the majority of creators already in it. So that's what it's reading. But it can be very helpful as a starting point. So I'm going to pick that one just because it looks pretty. And so it says it's made by Magic Design. And it's just a helpful place to start. It's got all of these different bits on it. And so maybe we're going to be talking about traveling and flowers and journey. And that's fine. But if I do another one, so again, if I go home, let's do Instagram post, design, Easter sermon series poster. It just takes like a little bit of time to load. Or not. There we go. Gonna pick that one. Okay, so that's a one that has been created by Magic Design, which is really cool. So this is where the sort of having the brand kit in having your elements within the brand kit is really helpful. So if I click on the main background image, so you can see it's coming up with the peachy color. If I click on it, up on my left-hand side there, it will say Lighthouse Road Baptist Church, and it will come up with my color graphics. And I could pick that or that one. Or that one. I'm going to say for Easter, let's go this blue. But it also does pick out the colors from the picture within it, which is really, really cool if you're wanting to do something that because you've got a picture already and you want to kind of bounce off that image. And I'm gonna okay. So if I, however, click on the brand button on the left hand side on that long strip down there, if I press shuffle, it will take all of the elements where you can change the color. So that is being the text, the background, and any elements like this star here. If I press shuffle, it will rotate the images, the colors within those assets, which is very helpful if you've just trying to think, well, actually, how would this all look within a design? Let me go back to that one, like that one. However, I'm not so much of a fan of this picture. So, and I've got a, there, okay. So if I, hang on, go back slightly. So I've got this picture here. I don't like the tulip so much, but I like the cross, and that's fine. But nah, it's not quite gelling with what what our sermon series is going to be about. So if I just delete the image, the frame stays there. And I would like to create a wooden cross against a blue on a small grassy hill against. So I'm like going to see if this works. But you can tell it to generate some images, and you can pick the styles that you would like. So if I want photo style, if I wanted it square or landscape, I think it will just create it as a square. But if I then press generate image, again, takes a minute or two. And this is not like do this first. It's great to take your own pictures and use the resources and imagery that you have already. But it is quite fun if you're going, I kind of know the image in my head that I really want to that I really want to talk about this, that, you know, for this sermon series over Easter, but I can't quite see it. So yeah, dramatic. I mean, I quite like that. That's kind of okay. And if I click and hover over, that can go there. And I'm going to create another one. I'm just going to I'm going to pull that on me on a empty pebble beach against a dramatic sky. So again, I'm from a seaside town. Let's like see what it would be like if I was to apply this to my church, because we want to talk about Jesus, the, you know, fishers of men, and how his relationship with the fishermen were. So, you know, actually that's quite cool. Oh, click and drag it over. And there it is. So if we wanted to change the style slightly, we could do playful, let's say, and then we generate again. And then this is where it's quite fun if you're doing things with youth, or you're trying to just, you know, create a different visual for something at Christmas or Easter or something. You're just trying to create something that people, that just takes people in a different direction of being able to visualize something. So again, actually, like, they're quite interesting. And you know, that's literally been made up by AI. So I think that's quite that's quite fun. I'm gonna pick that one and just pop up there. If it'll go in. So essentially, as you can see down at the bottom, I've got 500 credits. That's giving me, I think that's 10 days then I've got to use it. So in most cases, I imagine that you're not going to be using them all, that, you know, using them up. So don't stress about that if you're seeing that down at the bottom. But again, have a play around with them if you're thinking about, you know, what can you do to just make something a little bit interesting. So that's really fun. And then if let's do this one again. Okay, so text. So if we wanted to just make something a little bit, I'm going to take this off. We just want to make it a little bit more interesting of, you know, to just create something engaging on social media. So you can obviously change the fonts. So whether we'd want it in, you can either see the recently used or recommended. It'll come up with some, but also then it has your brand ones there. You can have some popular ones. Let's just go with this one here. Archivo, black. What you can do as well. So if this is going on social media, let's give it a little bit of movement or design with. So you can either go on effects or animate, and actually we can make it type out. You could do it. And then you can have different bits on enter, on exit. You could have the character or the whole word. I quite like the typewriter one. It's quite fun. But you could have burst. And so again, just making your social media content, you know, so just utilizing the kind of the little things that you can get in there. So that we could create this, improve this so that it's a poster, and, you know, create that as a static thing to print off. But actually, how can we create something that will not it is an alignment with the printed stuff, but it just creates something a little bit different, and sort of, yeah, sparks that interest with content that you are adding online. And then, yeah, so you could either have the whole thing or text. And so again, that's just literally by preference. And again, effects can be really cool of doing that, and it'll still have the effects and it will typewrite. So if I play it, that would be how it would appear on social media, and then just the rest would be standard because I haven't animated them at all. That can be really good. You obviously can then if I did change that one, we'll do it in, nope. Oh, and then Control or Command Z and X is undo or redo, and that's another useful one to know. So if I go to intro, have that there. And again, you can create different aspects. So if we wanted to overlap slightly, you can make things transparent. So if we wanted that just in the background slightly, and then again, thinking about positioning. So as to if we wanted things to position differently to page, or layering, so that if we wanted things above it or behind, again, they're all just really useful, those useful little things to remember that you can do within Canva. And another cool thing, I'm gonna like delete all of them, are the elements. Nope, I want frames. So the frames are really cool. So this wouldn't be so much on a what's the word? For every social media graphic, but for something where you've got one or two words or letters. So we're just going to see. I'm going to write Easter. And I'm just going to write East for the minute because you get the point with it. So you can see they're all wonky and not aligned. So if I go to position and arrange, if I put middle, because I've selected them, they all align together. And then I can also reduce their size. So height's 550, let's say 300. And that makes them like that. Actually, we're going to make them a little bit smaller again. 200. I'm going to say 200. There we go. So that they're squared. But then if we press space evenly horizontally, that will automatically ensure that they are spaced equally. I'm going to group them so that now they are as one element. You could ungroup them if you wanted to. And then if we wanted to put an image in them, we just go to uploads, and I'm going to just put some different bits in there. So that is just helpful. Or what we could do is brand, and we have our some of our brand images, and I'm going to put that there. But what I want to do is actually I want to make it all bigger so that it looks like it's sort of for different parts, and you can play around with it so that then this is a bit of a finicky thing, but it's just be sort of quite fun if you're thinking about, well, how can I create something that's a little bit interesting? So what this is what that can look really effective in is if I go to projects and LRBC, something like that. So that if we just wanted a sort of cool graphic, and that's actually a little video in there of that moving, because actually that reminds me, that's what we can do as well. So one of the other things cool with AI, let's do it with this one. So we've got this image. I'm going to go to down on the left-hand side. So you can go apps. And you can find a number of different types of apps. Now, this is sort of personal preference and personal comfortability. I don't think that's a word, but where you feel happy to experiment in, as there's loads of different types of things here, like job and resume. AI don't really need that, or voiceover or anime style. Like most, you're probably not going to really need that. However, some can be quite cool. So DALL-E or Sketch to Life, something like that, or Magic Morph. That might just help with your creativity and content creation. But one of the ones for me is Image Animate. I find quite fun. So what you do is you select the image that you want, and then I have image, and then you just find that by literally just typing in animate, and then loads of different ones come up. I am connected in with this one. So that's the one that comes up. So it selected the picture. And what would I like to animate? Waves in background. Sky moving. And press on. Does take us. This one does take a little bit longer, but it can again just be really helpful, and you can do it not just with with AI images. You can do it with photos you've taken. So I have used photos, and it creates a little bit of movement in them, and they're not great, they're not perfect, but they are really fun. If you've got a static image and you just want a little bit of something different in it. And then one of the other things, and I can't click it, but again, apps, is you can create QR codes. And that's really helpful. If I know that there are other sites that create QR codes, but that's a bit of a faff of like downloading them from somewhere else and then bringing them into here. You literally just type in the link that you want and a QR code. I'll show you quickly on here. So say we've got join us this Easter. Yay. Move that up. If I go apps, I search QR code. Oh, no, that's not the one I want. Where have you gone? I had a QR code one before. Yeah. So there. So I just, lrbc.co.uk, Easter, generate code. Oh, yeah. And there it is. And I could change it so that this is it doesn't work for my, I can't link it in with my brand, but then you just grab that to hand. So if I do, that's my work colors, and let's just have a nice green, generate code, and it will just then regenerate it to color. So that can be really good. And I didn't like QR codes when they came back a few years ago, but actually they're really helpful. Rather than printing off loads of things or having people handouts or giving people, really long URLs if it's really difficult to find something. But they can be really good if you're wanting event signups or Google reviews. That's a really good thing. It has nothing to do with Canva, but I really recommend leaning into Google reviews and things, because actually that is where people are looking if they're trying to find new churches. But if you've got an event happening and you're saying it in the notices, and you've got it either, on your PowerPoints, and you're going, please do take your phones, take a picture of this, and this URL, this QR code will take you to the event sign up, rather than going, and please visit lrbc.org.uk/Easter/events/Lent lunch, blah 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 blah. That's just a faff to have to search. Whereas just doing it on my phone, and actually it then means it's on people's phones. You say, just take a picture of it, or get it and have it up on your browser, and then sign up later when you're at home. But it's just really helpful of creating the QR codes in there, and again being able to color them so that they work within, not this poster, but so that it works within whatever poster you're doing. And if I was to say, actually, I really do want it to go in with this green, I could just go here, and that's the green there. I could just color that there, and then you just update it, and it would then just update that color there. So yeah, that can be that it. I just find sometimes the QR codes, when they're black and white, they just look a bit very clunky, and it's good signing to sort of be like, there is a QR code here, but actually sometimes having it kind of on brand within that asset is really good. And it's still taking time, right? So I'll just make sure I've used them. One of the other things, and this probably isn't so much for a social media graphic as such, but I'm just going to stay in here so that it keeps it loading, I'm hoping. You can also add in show rulers and guides. So the rulers are obviously up the top there, but add guides. That can be really helpful if you've got a poster and you're just trying to think about, alignment, and actually, we want to tuck this in slightly. They tend not to stay, which is annoying. But, if we're looking, we're wanting to either create 12 or 3, or we wanting to have a grid, that can be very helpful. So I'm just going to add that in there so you can see it. And there you go. You can see that it has created an animated, which is very fast, but it has animated the this image that now doesn't want to move into that. There we go. And so now that is playing. Actually, I'm going to take off that. So the grid is just helpful so you can lock it, or I'm going to clear it. But so if I play, that's not what I want. Okay, right, so. I mean, it feels very dramatic, it being quite fast, but you know, it's animated a static image that AI has created, which I think is pretty cool. As being able to sort of, you know, just create something. It's just taking it that step, that next step to what actually we should be doing on social media. If we have the capability to add in moving images and, you know, movement of text and things like that, why not do it? Don't just post a picture of your poster or just a sort of, you know, awkwardly cut square of your A4 picture, but actually try and create something that is intentional for the social media platforms, and yeah, creates a little bit of engagement. I'm conscious of time and I have rabbled on about those bits, but really, within the Magic Studio, there are so many things that you can do, and it I think someone said it can sort of be a little bit overwhelming of knowing where to start. I think in the first instance of thinking, well, you know, Canva, of any concerns about safety, you know, the Canva does say, you know, is ensuring safety, and things, and you can adjust permissions and things like that. But also the fact that the content that you're creating, you know, don't put anything too sensitive, I would say, in it, but actually if you're just using it to play around with image movement and things like that, have fun with it. And you know, if that doesn't work, that's fine. You don't need to use those assets and those graphics that you've created, but I find it helpful. And I have to say, doing these training sessions have been really good because it's meant I've had to play around with them. But it's a really good opportunity of just going, well, what could we create for Easter? Let's just have a play around and see what we could do. Or, you know, something for the youth, a youth activity in the summer. Well, actually, what could we create with that? Could we use that to, if I go home, youth summer camp poster. I mean, I've got some already, but you know, actually, it'll come up with ones of who can we use that think people have created already. But actually, what can we? Well, that's Fly by Canva Create. You know, actually, what can we use by the tools that are in Canva, and actually, what can we do to just create something a little bit different and utilize those different things? So, yeah, on the left hand side here, you've got apps, which show you they're categorized by different purposes or teams. Just have a look in there and see what you'd want. So you could, yeah, you know, donation buttons. That's, you know, that's quite a good thing for churches. Or most of them you don't need, so don't stress about them. You know, turning images into cartoons. Could you turn your church building into a cartoon for something slightly interesting, or sort of help with logo designs and stuff? Just go in and have a look. And it's the same with any aspect of Canva that I've said for the long time I've used it, is just you improve by using it more. And so just try to use it as much as possible and have fun with it. And yeah, like most of this stuff you don't need, so don't stress about knowing the ins and outs of it. But something like the QR codes are useful. Integration with some things are helpful. Google Drive or something like that, you know, that it is helpful. But design essentials, you know, it's just go play around with it and have fun. And yeah, for me, as I said, it's doing this stuff is honoring to God, and it's really showing that actually churches do care about how we're represented, and how we're communicating with people. And I think that it's really difficult to with the 101 million voices that are online and stuff, it is really difficult to stand out. And so that the sort of the best that we can do, we should be trying the best that we can do to stand out and connect with our audiences, whether that is both locally within the people in your geographical community, but also online. So yeah, I hope that has been helpful. I will stay sharing the screen, Fiona, if you want to ask any questions, or if anyone wants to ask anything specific.
Yeah, does anybody have any questions or queries or anything for Hannah while she is here? I have to say I'm super excited about the translation, because in the Methodist Church we always like to include our Welsh friends, and the thought of suddenly being able to translate everything into Welsh is super exciting and appealing to me.
Let me see if it does go into Welsh though.
Don't tell me that it doesn't, because I should just be so depressed.
That would be a bit sad.
I'm about to email my Welsh colleague and go, I've just discovered a great tool.
Magic switch, translate.
Yeah,
let's do Welsh.
Yeah, let's do Welsh. Oh, that's made my night.
I would check it with a Welsh person first to make sure that it's
I will, don't worry.
Feel like there's a chance it'll end up sounding like Sims, where like they kind of speak that language that sounds like a language but actually isn't a language, and it'll end up like reading like that or something.
Yeah, brilliant, fantastic. Friends, we're nearly out of time. Do just want to say big thank you to Hannah for her just a lot of information tonight. I'm sure folks have really appreciated that. It's an awful lot of stuff to take in to go away and have a little wee practice yourselves. Just a couple of questions, queries before we finish off. Anything anybody wants to say to Hannah or ask a question? Now is your time. Oh, they've all gone silent. You've put them into...
Don't know if I've confused everyone.
Let's just do a quick hands up then, if that was helpful, if it's been a good evening, if there's lots of things there that you haven't known before, you can either put your digital hand up or your analog hand up. Fantastic. So I think that's a good...
That's fine.
a good session to go with. Just before we head off... Oh, thank you, Simon. That's fantastic. Very... I love that. You're going to have to teach us all how to do that. Let's just check a few little bits and pieces. Hannah, that you mentioned the coolers.
Coolers, yes. Coolers. To get that up here.
App, I put that into the chat so folks can have a look at that if you are wanting to have a think about your design. I think, I can't remember if it was Janet, Andy said they were looking at designing logos and things, so that's something that might help you. Look at that.
Also fun just to look at pretty colours.
Brand logos, obviously, from the Methodist Church website. Got a couple of things I just want to give a plug for whilst we are here. I'm going to put into the chat here a Facebook group for those of you that are on Facebook. We in the comms team have just reinitiated this Facebook group. It's a digital and media network. We are trying to find a space and a place where we can be learning together, sharing together, having conversation around all things digital and media. I'm absolutely delighted to see that my colleague Anise is with us this evening. I didn't know she was coming, so that's very nice. Anise, can you video yourself? Is that a word? Put your video on and then we can say hello to you if you're still here. And Anise is one of our media officers. Big wave, bigger wave than that, because not everybody will have seen you do that. Anise is one of our media officers, so she's always on the lookout for good stories. If you are wanting to be in touch with the media team, Mike and Anise are always traveling around the country looking for good stories. And if you want to check out our Lent campaign, which this year we are using the theme of soul food, you can, here's a link for that, just go into the chat now. That's on the Methodist Church. Sign up for all our soul food resources. So a network to join on Facebook if you want to be part of the conversation around all things digital media. Some of you may have heard of Wholehearted, which is our event that we are starting in March, second Tuesday of the month, always second Tuesday of the month, from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Got some great speakers lined up already for Wholehearted. First hour of kind of input from good speakers, well-known personalities, and then some time afterwards. Ben and I are hosting the kind of digital breakout room. Again, I've put those details onto that network on Facebook. If you're interested in part of that, we're all going to be zooming out into different breakout groups for the second part of Wholehearted Monthly, the online session, thinking about mission and ministry. So lots of stuff for you to take away with. Hope this has been helpful. Thank you very much, Hannah, for your expertise and your experience. It's been really, really great to have you with us over these 3 sessions. As I've said before, this session will be recorded, so you can go and have a look at that. We'll send out the recording, hopefully by the end of the week. If you've signed up for it, you'll get a copy of that, and we'll have it available along with the foundation and the intermediate for those of you that want to just keep looking at it all. Thank you very much, friends. Good to see you all. Take care.
Bye-bye.